Are you a human being? Are you also a Browns fan? Well, if you said yes to both of those things, and there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Brown sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns. And welcome back to another episode of Down with the Browns. You're here with your hosts, Christian and Mac the Buffalo.
What's KFC up? In the buff. Just us tonight, guys. Manny can't make it, and Matty G got arrested. But more on that later. Listen, buddy. Listen. So
you like the cat?
I wanted to. Oh, dude, the Eskimo hat. I don't know what the actual term is for it, but I mean,
I call it the Cousin Eddie hat.
The Cousin Eddie hat.
Yeah, it's the Cousin Eddie hat. That's
exactly what a classic. Yeah, exactly. what a classic. I still have one of those bucket hats, but I only break those out in the summer. Anyway, guys, I wanted to start off this show with a public Buffalo announcement, a PBA. Usually I'm reading headlines here, but I'd rather make a formal statement given the circumstances.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Good evening. The past few days have been a wild one for the Browns fan base, and a move that was more shocking than the time I showed up to a date wearing the same outfit. The Browns traded for Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore. This move was shortly followed up by the team also signing free agent speedster wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. The Browns GM Andrew Berry has handed out weapons to Deshaun Watson like the government was handing out stimmy checks in 2020.
Yes, sir.
With the depth at wide receiver this season, all the pressure being on Watson and Stefanski to succeed, I'd like to announce I will no longer be counting the amount of carries Nick Chubb gets per game.
Talk to him.
Unlike Christian quitting energy drinks and Zen pouches cold turkey, I will actually keep this promise. This passing offense finally has enough weapons to be a heavy passing attack, and if this doesn't work out, well, I'll be more baffled than the time I found out KFC's girlfriend loves his personality unironically. I'd like to thank the Dumpster Fire organization, Open New York, for being so down bad that they would trade their second best wide receiver just to add higher draft capital. Draft capital they would use to trade for a 40-year-old QB that's addicted to hallucinogenics. At this point, I don't know whose brain is more fried, Aaron Rodgers or the Jets GM, Joe Douglas. To be clear, I'm still a diehard enthusiast for the greatest running back of all time, Nick Chubb. But now I will not have a coronary every time he's on the sidelines on third down glaring at his head coach. This is Mac with your Down with the Browns public Buffalo announcement.
Yeah, I don't like you anymore. I can't stand you. But you
told me to write the second joke in there, and I was just like, I don't know, man.
I told you the energy drink joke, okay? Because I woke up this morning, I was feeling a little spicy, and multiple people and lots of friends and family have told me, Christian, you're gonna die if you don't stop. Because I was consuming
me being one of them, me being the biggest advocate for your cardiac health. So yes.
Yeah. Because I was consuming large amounts of caffeine, because apparently that's bad for your body. I didn't know that, but apparently it speeds up your heart or something. And I just like to feel like I'm on crack, but I don't do crack. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I got a little spacey. It's starting to get to me, man.
Well, since you're starting to get spacey, why don't we recap the Browns' past moves this past week? Everybody's talking about the Elijah Moore trade, but couple free agency moves here. The Browns have brought back backup quarterback Joshua Dobbs. He was with the team last year, got cut when Watson was reinstated. He went to Tennessee, but they still needed a backup quarterback here with Jacoby Brissett going to Washington. So good move there. Matthew Adams from Chicago Bears, a special teamer, was
Yep.
signed. Another special teams weapon for
Very
Bubba Ventrone.
highly graded under Bubba Ventrone in Philly. In Indianapolis, he had what was it, a 90.7 PFF grade for special teams?
Yes.
So that's absolutely a dog.
Yeah. And then Marquise Goodwin, veteran, speedy wide receiver from Seattle. Not too shabby. Marquise Goodwin, considering the fact that he had a very quiet season. For the fact of he gets somewhere between 20 to 40 targets a season.
Yeah.
Last season he had 387 yards, 14 yards a catch, 4 TDs. So, not too bad for the, fourth, fifth wide receiver that's going to be on this depth chart here. And I like the move just so the fact of, we saw what happened to this, this offensive game plan once. No, but I mean, when you posted that video of Hangover Part 3, where Alan comes into the house and it was the intervention, legitimately, spot on for what it would. This comes from a place of love.
I love that movie so much.
But getting back to Marquise Goodwin, I really do like him as an insurance policy, especially with how Jakeem Grant went down and the offense was kind of hampered to stretch the field. So, Elijah Moore, while he's great, he has been injured here and there. Jakeem Grant's rehabbing that Achilles. So, if both those options for whatever point in the reason, this season, if they're not available, they still have Marquise Goodwin to stretch the field there. So I do like that. But let's talk about the biggest headline of the week.
Let's hear it.
The Browns trade pick 42 for Elijah Moore and pick 72. So the crazy part about this is that all they did was move 30 spots down and pick a wide receiver, which they were going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's like we just walked in, looked at him, jokingly said, "Here's pick 42," and we went pick 72 and Elijah Moore, and they're like, "All right, let's do it." And you're like, "Huh? What? Huh? What?
What?" But Joe Douglas,
well, that name right there says it all.
Outside of Bill O'Brien, is he kind of maybe the worst GM the league has seen in the past couple years?
Well, I mean, he is about to get Aaron Rodgers there.
I mean, about to, but the deal's not done. And
dude,
Aaron Rodgers.
Imagine they don't get Aaron Rodgers. Imagine he just backs out.
Yeah.
He just backs out. He's like, you know what? After I went back into the darkness hole of witchcraft, I do. That he does.
Yeah. After consuming more wild mushrooms I found in the forest, I've decided not to play football.
Yeah, I decided I'm going to become a monk or something.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. This is Aaron Rodgers, the most weirdest guy. Is it fair to say he's the weirdest guy in the league?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
I mean, just in the sole fact of you don't know what's going on inside.
I mean, you got to think there's probably some weirder people that are just not good. They're not as good as Aaron Rodgers. They're probably just weirdos,
absolute.
Just weirdos.
Oh, but I mean, between this whole fiasco, I feel like the Aaron Rodgers trade they've been trying to work this in for 3-4 weeks now.
Yeah.
They fumbled the second pick in the draft for some god awful reason. They thought that Zach Wilson, even though he struggled against the better defenses in his collegiate career, they thought he would somehow pan out instead of Justin Fields. And so because it was Trevor Lawrence that got picked above him.
Yep.
So who went after Zach Fields?
No, it went
Matt Jones.
It went T-Law, Zach Wilson, and then it went Trey Lance, and then Justin Fields. And then
I
I
mean,
think
they still
Mac.
would have been better off if they did Trey Lance, and I don't even think Trey Lance is that good. Like they somehow they had the second pick, and they got the worst quarterback out of the draft class. That blows my mind. But yeah, it's Andrew Berry absolutely fleeced the Jets here, and I don't understand, because if they really wanted to make it, unless they just because Elijah Moore. Oh, I didn't even see that comment. Yeah,
He
a real
Jeff.
Stacy's mom situation.
Jeff said Wilson panned out good with the moms, though. He was a wait, what? Trey Lance rumored 49ers might take a second for him.
Well, they're not sold on him, I'll tell you that for sure. It didn't take. Now, granted, Brock Purdy ended up having a good stretch of games, and he earned his title there. But it was they saw probably about 2 games of Purdy, and they were ready to anoint him the starter.
He's
no
pretty
matter
good.
what. So yeah, they say Brock Purdy's pretty good.
So
yeah.
Listen here, buddy. But yeah, like the Aaron Rodgers stuff. And do you want to go straight into the next big topic that sort of kind of? Oh wait, no. Have we finished talking about Elijah Moore yet?
No, we have not.
We've not even began.
You're jumping the gun. Jumping the gun.
I'm on edge. I'm on edge.
You're on edge. Tell me what are your thoughts here? The Browns trading for Elijah Moore.
I loved it. I didn't think we would do it. I thought that the trade capital would be too much because of the lower contract. He's still in the rookie deal. We've got him for 2 more years. I was thinking they're going to ask for a big lump sum because, when he's at Ole Miss, he had that dog in him, quite literally, with the P stance that he did. He's been a good receiver. It's just he's not really got into his, his fold, out there. Because, when Zach Wilson was on the field, he just wasn't targeting him. And most of his yards, like, what was it? That stat you dropped, like 75% of his yards came when Zach Wilson wasn't playing.
Yeah. So so there was 12 games in his career over the past 2 seasons that he played without Zach Wilson. So this is with Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Josh Johnson. Okay.
Cool.
He had 81 targets, 53 catches, 681 yards, 5 TDs, and 33% of his yards were after the catch. And only 2 drops in his whole career. So, he's given you about the best that they can do. The greatest take that I've heard on Elijah Moore was from Nathan Zagura on Cleveland Browns Daily. And he said, absolutely, if Elijah Moore was drafted by another team, he would not have been available for trade. And I cannot agree with that more.
That's a fact.
It's absolute fact, because it's, to me, when you get such an explosive talent, to like the ability for him to separate, his sure hands, and just the fact that he can make a play after the catch, it really kind of blew my mind that this is all that it took. But also in the same part, he's well respected by his teammates. But him getting into the spat with Mike LaFleur about not getting enough targets, which, granted, he's your second best wide receiver.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not getting him targets is just really dumb. Looking at it, his best game. So I'll throw this back to you in a second, because this is going to blow your mind. So his best game as a pro, it was against the Colts 2 years ago. He had 141 yards. I'm sorry, he had 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. It took them a whole quarter just to target him, and he got a big he got back-to-back catches, one for 26 yards, and then the one directly the play after was a 19-yard score. They did not target him again for 2 whole quarters. Like, it's just there must have been something between him and like Mike LaFleur, because it was like plays weren't going to him. He flat out wasn't touching the football. And frankly, there were some times where it was just like you were watching it and you go, okay, like this is 3rd down. Like, where's Elijah Moore?
Yeah.
So
it kind of reminds me,
was part of his spat with him. It had to be.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of kind of the situation with Christian Kirk in Arizona. Not as much though. Like he still got his targets.
Mhm.
But like when Christian Kirk went to the Jaguars, like you heard a lot of receivers like that kid's gonna be good. He's gonna be real good when he becomes the wide receiver one. And I mean they paid him pretty good penny to come down there to Jacksonville, and where I was kind of like, I wanted him last year in the offseason, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to pay him that much. But like all these guys like Tyreek Hill, D Hop, they're all like, this kid is gonna be good. And he goes down there, balls out, and kind of shows like he was just kind of hidden. And I think the same thing's gonna happen for Elijah Moore. It kind of feels that same vibe. They're about the same height, same kind of story, kind of like they were kind of hidden,
Mhm.
weren't targeted as much. And I just think good things are going to come for the Cleveland Browns this year with Elijah Moore.
Well, the cool thing is that as much as like he's going to have a job, I'm telling you right now, just him stepping on the field alone is going to do wonders for this Browns offense in terms of scheme and opening everything up. I mean, for once, we actually can say Kevin Stefanski has everything that he needs to run his offense.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. For the first time in his coaching career in Cleveland, he has 100% of the offense. Everything is going to be wide open.
Yep.
Now, with that also being said, Elijah Moore doesn't this isn't going to require him to get 160 targets next year. You know what I mean? He can.
You hear that?
He can produce the train running back in the
Yeah,
background.
you know what that train is? That's the Super Bowl train. Cleveland Browns 2023. Just jump on the train.
You might as well. Now I will say this. What really excites me about Elijah Moore, two things. One, his average separation last year was 3.1 yards, better than any wide receiver on the Browns team. Guess how many on average? Guess what? Guess how many yards of cushion that he got per play?
35.
6.1.
I was close.
6-point yard, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, that just sounds extremely inflated.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, his ability to just stop on a dime just confuses defenders. He'll slow down, and you don't know which way he's turning.
Somebody tweeted it the other day, and it was when Elijah Moore was still in college, and so was Grant Delpit. And dude, he had Grant Delpit looking silly.
Yeah, Elijah Moore had a lot of players looking silly. There was a wheel route where you trust the rail system in Ohio. No, I don't. Andrew, if you want me to be honest with you, I don't. Ever since that kind of news break a couple weeks ago, every time I hear the train, I'm just kind of like, please don't derail. But getting sidetracked here, pun fully intended. Elijah Moore and his ability to open is just something else, and it's going to be really cool because and funny enough, Grant Pusgard had a really good tweet out today, and because it was PFF putting Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore side by side, and they said, where would you rank this wide receiver duo in the NFL? Couple people got upset and they go, oh, well, DPJ is wide receiver too. But here's the thing. In this offense next year, they're going to have 3 wide receivers on the field most of the time. They're going to be running 11 personnel, right? So it doesn't really matter. Elijah Moore more than likely is going to be in the slot for the majority of the time, but he can go inside, he can go outside. It doesn't really matter at this point, but you line up. And, going back to the Manny tweet, but the only difference between me and him is that I know the difference between an illegal formation and, But
you get caught out by a coach.
Yeah, exactly. But, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku. Somebody is bound to get open. And the problem with this offense the past 2 years, they get behind the sticks, and when they're passing, when a team knows that you're passing, they didn't do so hot. But somebody is going to get open, and we've now put Deshaun Watson in a spot where his job this year is going to be a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
And with guys like Goodwin and Moore they can make plays after the catch. So, a
Yeah.
lot more screens, a lot more jet sweeps, some end arounds, extension of that run game that I keep talking about and I've been preaching about for months and months now. They will finally have that this season, so they won't need to. Now, granted, does that mean that I'm not going to sit here and advocate for them running the ball? No, I want to see Nick Chubb run. It's one of the greatest things that I watch in modern day football.
And I love hearing Chubb.
Yes.
Chubb.
Exactly. It gets you hype.
It's the only time going. that grown men can actually chant that and not feel down,
Yeah, and not feel completely perverted. But yeah, it's it's really nice the fact that they're going to be able to balance this offense without being so run heavy, which is going to be better for Chubb because he's going to face a lot lighter boxes.
Yeah.
So his yards per carry is even going to be more impressive than it has been in years past. They're going to be able to get behind a defense. So what is that? What is that? What are you holding up?
It's bait.
Oh, it's bait.
Mm-hmm.
It's bait.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you putting bait out?
Because I'm fishing for a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl, and I think that these additions that the Browns are making this offseason, I'm just even going to go back even to last week. I think the Browns are building something special. We didn't get all the big names that we thought. And
by the way, I forgot not to cut you off. Anthony Walker coming back.
Yeah, exactly. We're bringing all the right pieces back, all the right people. And none of them have really been big names like Dalvin Tomlinson. That's a big name to us, but it's not like a DeForest Buckner. It's not a Daron Payne. It's not like a Kenny Clark. Like, it's not like that top tier name, but it's a guy that's going to come in and do his job. And then we've got all these guys coming in, Juwan Thornhill, Elijah Moore. These guys are going to come in and play ball. They're not looking for the bling, the paparazzi. They're not doing that like past people like JJ3. Like, he wanted the camera in his face. Like, he was one of them guys. And we're getting people that are going to come in and play football. And when we do that, if we can get all the people in one accord, that's even biblical. I don't know the verse, but I know that is biblical. When you're in one accord, in unity, the good things are going to happen. And I think that's one correct step in the direction of a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl that I'm fishing for.
And they certainly have the pieces, and
the coaches now.
I think there's a little bit of a common theme with some of these trades, with some of these free agents. A lot of these guys are hungry. AWOC, fresh off an injury. He's got to prove himself. Juwan Thornhill is coming off of the Super Bowl. You don't think he's itching for another one? You got Dalvin Tomlinson, who played pretty damn good, but everybody would still thought that he wasn't deserving of the big contract. You got Ogbo, who for the first time will able to be the man on the defensive line for the first time in his career. Because I'm going to be honest with you, he's going to have to be, unless Alex Wright really comes along in camp. So, a lot of hungry guys. Elijah Moore is the prime example of a guy that got drafted to a terrible. And I know that I'm a Browns fan and I'm using the word terrible organization to describe another team, but correct me if I'm wrong here. The Jets have been an absolute dumpster fire the past several years.
Yep.
So he comes through. He's the second best wide receiver on the team, and then he just gets buried for whatever reason. You have a wide receiver. It's not even like the Odell situation to where the quarterback was just so inaccurate and just not on the same page flat out. Like, because they were still pushing to get him the football. Like Elijah Moore, he just disappeared. They're like, okay, no, that's fine. We'll just try to throw it to anyone not named Garrett Wilson, and it's just kind of like what are you doing?
Yeah.
But like now he's hungry, and you can just tell in the interviews, like he's ready to prove it to the league that he is what he was drafted to be.
Jeff said this earlier. He said when Moore said, "Listen, I just want to go out there and kill," and Jeff said, "I was ready to run through a wall" when he said that. And that gets you hyped because, like,
Yeah.
I want guys like that. I want guys that got that dog in them that's going to go out there and just be like,
Play
I've
through
got
the
the
whistle.
football.
Yeah.
I've got the football. I'm going to do everything in my power to score. And you're not going to stop me. Like one of them top guys. And that's what we're getting in Elijah Moore. He's got that dog in him. You can tell. And I'm so hyped.
Well, you're gonna need that in this
Yeah,
division because I
for
mean,
sure.
you know, and we're gonna talk about one team here in a second down the road. But you know, Pittsburgh still has a stout defense every single year. As long as Mike Tomlin's there, you're gonna have a good defense.
Yep.
Ravens defense, they've been stout for years now. It's not gonna change anytime soon, especially with them signing. You're trading for Roquan Smith last year, and
Yep.
then they extended him, so he's going to be there for a long time. And then
Hmm.
you have the Cincinnati Bengals, which their defense isn't that great, but they're still going to give you one of their best games of the season. So
Yeah.
you need guys like that on the offensive side of the ball that are going to try to get those extra yards because it's hard playing football in Cleveland. It
Mhm.
always has been.
Yeah, something always goes wrong.
It's even harder to get yards after the catch. So to have somebody that's going to be willing to just claw for those inches,
Mhm.
even better.
Yeah, and I think as Elijah Moore gets used to this scheme and to the offense, I think it's going to open up Amari Cooper even more and DPJ
Yep.
because teams are going to be like, okay, this guy's starting to go off. We might need to double team him. And when you got receivers like DPJ, like I know somebody that's on the podcast that is not here right now was throwing slander at DPJ.
Yes.
But he's no slouch, man. He's a pretty good receiver. And he can go out there and make plays. And when you got Amari Cooper, DPJ, and I mean, Jakeem Grant, he's not been the most statistically proven wide receiver, but
I mean, he's still got wheels.
he's got wheels. And
Yeah.
then you get Marquise Goodwin. I mean, and then Njoku.
Well,
I mean,
here's the thing. I
it's-
don't know how, as a defense, that you can take one of your safeties and put him in the box against this wide receiving core. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I just now, granted,
Oh, Drew,
we're talking
Drew
about
just brought up
now
a
on-
really good point. He said since he lost both starting safeties, that's
even better,
huge.
even freaking better.
Yeah,
Because there's not going to be a team that's gonna say, hey, we need to bring us. They're going to keep both safeties back, and I can imagine that the middle of the field's going to open up a little bit more
yeah,
because they're worried about guys getting behind them. And
yeah,
I think that now, granted, this is months down the road. We got a long time before the season opens up. But
yeah.
if I'm a betting man, I could imagine play sequence kind of going like this. We're going to start. We're going to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb 2 or 3 times, and then he's going to do pretty well. And they go, okay, we're going to need to bring guys a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Marquise Goodwin, Elijah Moore just goes right behind him. And we hit him with a play action for a big gain. Because it's Kevin Stefanski's a big between his motions, his multiple formations. He likes to play a lot of chess with the defense.
Yeah.
Show him a look, come back to it a couple plays later. So, to give him a more diverse wide receiver room with what he can do, I'm really and I know to a lot of people listening right now, I sound a lot different compared to how I sounded 3-4 weeks ago. But the way how this offense is going to open up and the fact that they can finally be a pass-heavy offense. They've never been able to do this since 99. They just haven't. And you can't sit here and talk to me about 07 because Jamal Lewis went off that year.
Yeah.
You can't talk to me about the Josh Gordon year because he was only one person and they were still losing games.
Yeah, they were like 4-13 or 12.
Yeah, and it's because it's just you look at when they were saying they're like we're gonna try to throw the ball close to 40 times next year, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't know. Deshaun Watson's stats when he throws the ball more than 40 times in a game just isn't great, but there's also a touch pass. So a jet sweep, quarterback takes it and just basically flicks it with his wrist to the wide receiver or whoever's basically taking the touch pass. That counts as a pass. A screen counts as a pass. So they're going to have like these little kind of dump offs to where the quarterback's not holding the ball, but they're getting it out to their playmakers. And it's just going to open up this offense. And I'm so freaking excited, man. I really am.
Yeah. And, speaking of excitement and offense, the Browns, they do play in the AFC North. A rival of the Cleveland Browns, the team that stole the Browns from Cleveland, changed their name to the Ratbirds, just lost their franchise quarterback, Lamar Jackson, because he has officially made it public that he has requested a trade as of March 2nd.
No! Oh, no! Oh, that's so awful, man.
And props to Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry for making this all come true. How would the Browns owner and the Browns GM have anything to do with what's going on in Baltimore? I'll tell you. Last year this time, March 16th, Jimmy Haslam and them boys took a pilot aircraft down to Houston. Jimmy Haslam threw a bunch of money in Deshaun Watson's face and said, "This is yours, guaranteed." And then, since then, it's been history. Changed the course of the NFL trajectory. Now we're here, laughing at the Baltimore Ratbirds.
Laughing.
Just hysterically.
Laughing.
The jokes on jokes. Because we all saw it. We all knew it was going to happen. We either knew that they were going to have to pay Lamar Jackson that huge lump sum of money, or let him walk in free agency, because most of us knew Baltimore wasn't going to pay him that money. So props to Jimmy Haslam. Props to Andrew Berry.
This is really just kind of a really great development in the grant.
Jeff says Haslam peeing on Art's grave with that Watson contract. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Took a huge deuce on it.
huge dumper Rooney right on the tombstone there. Upper decking. But these developments, they're really a good sign for Browns fans, because especially with that non-inclusive tag, there's a lot of thought around the league, that Lamar didn't really have a lot of leverage there. What's the point of a team signing if they knew that the Ravens more than likely were going to match it? Because I mean, that's what the Ravens did. They said, hey, you think you're worth this much, then we'll place the non-exclusive tag. We'll let the market dictate, what your contract's worth, and then we'll just match it. It'll be easy as that. Now, with Lamar coming out and saying that he wants to be traded, these teams know for a fact that Lamar Jackson's available. So I can see here that I saw that Photoshop as well. That was hilarious. But now that teams know that he's actually available and he actually wants out, I think a couple of teams kind of revisit their fact here. And I think they say, maybe we're not out on Lamar Jackson. If he's tradable, why not pitch him an offer? If they're going to be taking phone calls, why not? If you're the Atlanta Falcons, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, who doesn't have their top pick in the draft. So it's really just delicious
it's quite
just see
fascinating.
The fact that former Browns vice president Sashi Brown now works there, chef's kiss. The fact that the Ravens organization has been going downhill since Ozzie Newsome stepped down, chef's kiss. I mean, it's glorious. It's kind of like driving by on the highway, and you just see a car accident. You just got to rubberneck. You're not even paying attention to what's in front of you. You're just glaring this thing down because you're just in amazement that this thing even happened. Because And here's the greatest part about all this. John Harbaugh is in complete denial. He was at the coaches summit today saying that he expects Lamar Jackson to be starting week 1. And it's just like, are you just
Well, did you
are
see
you
the timing
deaf?
of the
Are you
tweet?
stupid? Yeah, no, he sent the tweet out while he was at the summit. And the funny thing is that Louis Riddick brought this up on Rich Eisen. The fact that Lamar doesn't have an agent, there's no one to leak this information to. So the Ravens had this kind of monopoly on the Lamar Jackson contract situation in terms of getting it out to the media. So they were only releasing what they wanted the media to hear.
Yeah.
But what they didn't know, we didn't all know, is that Lamar was just like, hey, if you don't want to pay me, trade me. And that's what he told them on March 2nd. Now, there was a tweet. Tom Pelissero did come out of NFL Network saying that they have been in negotiating talks, but that's pretty broad. Negotiating talks could be, hey, Lamar, we're going to throw you another offer. Oh, you're still disrespected by it. You still want to leave? Great. But it's just, if they really thought that he was their quarterback, just pay him.
Yeah.
All teams do this. Now, I'm sorry that you have to get your pocketbook out for it to be guaranteed money. Oh, that's such a shame. That's such a shame. It's your franchise quarterback, dummy.
Yeah.
If you think he's the guy, just pay him and figure it out. I mean, that's what the Browns did. Now, granted, was it the right decision? Who knows? We're going to find out this season.
Yep.
But they determined he was their guy. They paid him.
Yep.
The Chiefs. I remember when Mahomes got that mega deal, and everybody's like, "How's Kansas City going to figure it out?" I was one of those idiots too, because I was just like, "Okay, you're going to pay your quarterback all this money. Well, what happens to all the rest of the assets?" But they figured it out. Pay your quarterback, reset the market if you have to, and then just figure it out. Because if you don't have your quarterback, I mean, no disrespect to Snoop Huntley. Nice name change, by the way, Tyler. They scored 3 points against the Browns defense last year, against a Joe Woods defense. So they weren't too good without Lamar.
Yeah.
If
if
he's your guy, pay him.
Yeah, exactly. I absolutely love it because these teams in the AFC North have trashed us for years, spit on the name of the Browns. Now they're all going through it. I love it because, the Bengals are going to have to pay Burrow here in like the next year and a half. They're about the Ratbirds are about to lose Lamar. Pittsburgh's hopefully they're going to derail soon, but you never know because Mike Tomlin's a genius.
I mean, they have a worse fever for Kenny Pickett than we had for Baker.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
We had fever for Baker because he set the rookie touchdown record in 13 games. I mean, Kenny Pickett had a god awful passer rating of like 70. And they just think, oh, he's the future because he led a couple game-winning drives. Well, if you only got to go 20 yards and then your kicker kicks a game-winning field goal, like I guess that's a game-winning drive, but it's I just don't understand how Steelers, like a 76 passer rating, 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year.
Andrew said the Nelson Aguilar signing pushed Lamar over the edge.
It would piss me off too. I mean, Elson, so here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. So they got rid of Hollywood Brown.
Yep.
Because they said, oh, well, like he has a terrible job. He can't catch. Okay. Who do you bring in a year after? A guy with worse hands. A guy with hands so bad that when someone rescued someone out of a burning building in Philadelphia, they said, I couldn't be like Nelson Aguilar, and I had to catch this baby.
Yep.
So bad that in a dire situation, somebody joked about Nelson Aguilar's hands. That's how bad his hands are. Yeah, and they signed him. And,
here's
hey,
your
Lamar, here's the weapons that you've been asking us for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's Nelson Aguilar. Not even a true wide receiver 2.
Or 3.
I would say border wide receiver 3. Wide receiver 3 on 20 out of 32 NFL teams, to be fair. But that's not what you get your franchise quarterback when he's asking you for weapons.
For receivers. And there's plenty on the market.
And this is, so ladies and gentlemen, this is coming from a Lamar hater. I don't believe that he's a top 10 quarterback. Can he get you into the playoffs? Can he win you some games? Absolutely. Is he he's the best runner in all of pro football right now. He's not a god-awful passer. He's not what the jokes that I make him out to be as a passer, but he's pretty damn good. And he can win you some games. You just need some help. And the fact that they go, here you go, here's Nelson Aguilar, and it's just, I don't blame you, Lamar.
Yeah.
Frankly, how professional Lamar has been through this whole process is, and I don't want to sound disrespectful when I say this, but it amazes me, because if I was in his position and the media was or the team was leaking purposely bad info on me to trash me, they get me an absolute middle finger of a free agent acquisition at wide receiver. And they're constantly pushing the narrative that he's asking for a ridiculous amount of money. And it's just like, just at this point, you might as well trade him, because stop acting like you want him here. Yeah?
Yep. It's, I'm happy all this is happening.
You're grinning from year to year, man. Yeah,
I'm
you
just
should
happy.
be happy. It's a great time.
Because I mean, I've been talking about how it's just so cool to watch these teams just plummet like we've been garbage the past 20 years, however long. And, it just kind of opens something up for me, I'm seeing an AFC North championship. Like I see it's a little bit easier now with Lamar Jackson out, because usually, like, when we play Baltimore, I mean, those games are really close. Like, I mean, they're always down to the wire, and not having Lamar there makes it a lot easier. And if you can beat Baltimore, like we have been the last 2 years, splitting with them, but you know what? The past 2 times we beat Baltimore, Lamar Jackson wasn't there. He started the game in 2022 or 2021, but he got hurt early.
Yep.
And it was Tyler Huntley. And then last year, when we played them in Cleveland, we beat Tyler Huntley. They only scored 3 points that whole game.
There was only one time where the Browns beat Lamar Jackson, and that was in 2019, week 3.
Dog stomped them too.
Yeah. Well, that was the Nick Chubb show. That
defense was on a showing too.
Yes.
They picked him off like 4 times.
No, you're thinking of 2021.
No, he turned the ball over quite a bit that game. Because we beat him. I
want to say it was 20. Like a fumble or something. Yeah.
I thought he threw a couple picks.
He might have. I mean, 2019, that sounds like didn't it feel like a decade ago, the Freddie Kitchens era?
Yeah. Thank God.
It was last year, those ugly jerseys, and it was so bad.
Thank God. But there's only 4 things in life that I need. Let me tell you what those things are.
Go ahead.
The first one is the Lord. You got to have the Lord. I mean, the Lord's the Lord, provided us with this beautiful earth we're on, And I could go on and on about the Lord, but I'll keep it kind of simple for this segment. Number 2, this one's kind of 2 things. It's water and food. You got to have those, or you'll die. You just got to have those.
Yeah.
Number 3
all right,
is love. Because if you're not feeling the love, you're probably sad. And nobody likes to be sad.
Nope.
And number 4 is a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl. And I need it. And I need it now, Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam. I can't go another year without a Cleveland Browns Super Bowl. Please make it happen this year. I need it so bad. I can't stand it.
Maybe I'm just down bad. But I would go for a division win and a playoff win. Honest to God. If they win the
No.
division for the first time since 1989, which was, by the way, before I was born, okay, and I was born before the team moved to Baltimore. Like, that's how long that it's been since the Browns
relate.
won the division. So if they do that and they win a playoff game,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm just down bad. Maybe I've just been beaten emotionally by this team year after year.
Bro, no, listen. We got the
but-
players. There's no excuse we shouldn't be competing for a Super Bowl. We got the players.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We've got the roster. I'm talking Super Bowl, man. I don't care if I'm over talking it. We need one within the next 2 years. And I mean, quite frankly, if we win a Super Bowl, I'm gonna go nuts. Like, I mean, you're gonna see a side of me that nobody's ever seen. I'm probably gonna pee on like
what do
a
you
light
mean
post or something.
you? What do you mean
I
you
will
are gonna go
run
nuts?
barefoot in a baby diaper to the streets of Cleveland from my home.
Sir,
Okay.
sir, you don't know what downtown Cleveland was like when the Cavs won the championship.
Oh, I do.
I was there. I was there,
do.
buddy. I was running through the streets. I was taking selfies with policemen and firefighters. I saw people climbing on top of fire trucks and hanging from street signs. And granted, I'm probably going to do the same thing that I did last time and call my father hysterically crying and get all emotional. But if the Browns somehow win a Super Bowl, it would be the craziest thing this world has ever saw. Now, I think I will say this. I think we'll handle it better than Philly, just because we don't have like that degenerate kind of alcoholic, like ape-like characteristic in us.
What are you
over here in
talking
Cleveland.
about, man? The whole city's gonna burn. There won't be.
We're
a Browns.
not that bad. We're
Listen,
not that bad.
Mac.
Now,
If the Browns win it, that
that
was
yeah,
that was
but
the
we're not gonna be
Cavs. That was the
destroying property.
second at the time. That was the second most loved team in Cleveland. If the Browns win a Super Bowl, the fan base had a parade when they went 0-16.
Yeah, but we're not going to destroy the city.
There'll be history books about the former city of Cleveland, Ohio. It'll be all ash. Just there, and there's going to be guardrails around the city because they're going to have to take all the major interstate highways and move them because it's going to be burnt to the ground.
Dude, you watch too many cartoons. That's my only logical explanation here. It's either that or the caffeine and nicotine withdrawal is just really just messing with your brain chemically right now. Because I can't take you serious. I can't. And
Oh, man.
and honestly, I think now would be a perfect time for our new segment.
Oh god.
So, ladies
You're
and
so
gentlemen,
embarrassing.
I pitched this idea a couple days ago because Christian had a hard time pronouncing one of the new players the Browns got, Ogbo Okoronkwo.
Okoronkwo. I said it right.
Well, that was the first time that you've ever said it right since you
I've
joined the team.
woke up
So
every
congratulations. So what I've done is I've gone on Google
Uh-huh.
and I've looked for the hardest names to pronounce. I will write them on this little whiteboard here and I will show it to Christian. There's 4 of them and we're just going to see what happens because I think it's going to be pretty funny. And at the end of the day, I know for a fact that at least I'll be entertained. So I know that I'll get something out of it. All right. So the first one.
All right. Oh, you got the board.
Yeah, I got the board here.
Okay.
Hopefully you don't see it backwards because then it'd be awkward.
Yeah, that would
But
be
I don't
very
think
awkward.
you do. I don't think you do.
I hope not.
Okay. So here is the first one.
Oh Lord. Star Lutulele?
One more time.
Star Lutulele?
No, that would be Star Low to Lele. Low
Wow.
to Lele.
Oh man, that was close.
All right. So over 1 so far.
Wow. Wow.
That's my favorite.
Sorry.
That's my favorite. You guys see the funny thing about our listeners is that so KFC and I talk every day, and that's whether like on the phone, texting, or on
Yeah.
Xbox. And now sometimes I'm doing it on purpose, but there's a lot of times where I'll just match his accent, and I'll just get carried away with the character. And so I have fun. I like to entertain myself while I'm talking to Christian here. All right. So
Yeah.
number two.
Number
This
two.
one's a tricky one.
All right. Let's see it. Oh, Lord. Hit me, Jesus. I'm going to need it because I feel like this is about to be one of them that's like got numbers in it or something.
Nope.
Tyrod Taylor. If you say it's
Nope.
Tyrod, if you say
It's
Tyrod,
Tyrod.
no,
It's
it's not.
Tyrod.
Bro, get
It's
out of here.
Tyrod.
No,
It's Tyrod.
no.
It's Tyrod.
Go jump in a
It's
dumpster
Tyrod.
because you're trash for that one, okay?
Wait,
Oh, that was a good one.
what?
That
So
was
the man
good.
doesn't know his own name. The man doesn't know his own name.
No, we
Is that what
don't.
you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. KFC has announced that this is why. Yeah. Well, he's got to retaliate somehow, and it wouldn't be fun if it was only a one-way relationship where only one hassled the other.
Yeah, let me get my 10-year-old cousin to cook Mac real quick.
Bro, he is so bad.
Dude,
He's like,
okay, for the listeners, since Mac wants to make fun of me, I'm going to make fun of Mac. And actually, this isn't even me making fun of Mac. This is my cousin, 10 years old.
cooked me.
Cooked him. He said, hey, Mac, if you would stop playing video games, you might have a girlfriend.
Yeah, that one stung. That one stung a little
Yeah,
bit.
there was silence in the chat.
Well, it's just like, first of all, he's 10, so like, what am I gonna say? Second, I have to think about what I'm saying in general because a lot of times, and granted, thank God I haven't said anything too bad live on the podcast, but it's just I got a pretty filthy mouth. Like
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
very vulgar. Anybody that's and I'm casual about it too. So it's
Yeah.
just like I don't even know what to say to the kid while he's insulting me.
Yeah. All right. Let's see number 3.
Oh, number 3. This is a good one. Because I mean, no chance that you get this one, but I'm just gonna giggle watching you struggle. So
Okay. The ops are out to get me. I see. It's fine. The ops are out to get me. It's fine. Oh, God. Albert Okwe Bonham? Bonham? Okwe Bonham? Okwe Bonham? Is that right?
So it's Okuwe Bunam.
You're enunciating way too much.
What do you mean? I'm literally
You gotta stop.
I'm copy and pasting it right off the internet, and it's not my fault that you can't read.
I can't read. I just said it how I'd say it.
Well, it's a mispronunciation.
But that's the thing is I wouldn't call him by his last name. I'd call him Big Al.
Yeah, you would. There's no way you would even attempt to pronounce that.
See, look, Jeff, a resident
Hell, I can't pronounce that.
of Northeast Ohio, so he couldn't even pronounce that. You probably didn't. You probably had to look at like how you enunciate it. Like how
I
they
did
break it
because
down.
I wanted to make sure I had the right answer.
So you didn't even know it.
No.
Okay, you bum. You probably sit down when you pee.
All right.
I'm sorry, Mac. I'm sorry, I went too far.
Yeah.
Please
Okay.
forgive me. Please.
Jeez.
Oh, I'm so glad this is the last one.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. This one, there's no way. There's no way. There's just so much going on with this one. I don't even know if I can fit it in one line.
If you're running out of room, don't put it.
Well, but that's not the fun.
Gosh. I'm not ready for this one.
We need to do this segment like every week because this is just
No,
happening.
we don't.
I'm having way too much.
People already
fun
think I'm
watching
an
you
idiot.
struggle. Well, I mean, sometimes the shoe fits.
Okay, nerd.
Oh God, See, this is how you feel when you tell me to like cry, or when I'm getting dunked on mid podcast on live. So
I've got
now the shoe's on the other foot.
authoritative. It says
All right, you
listen,
ready?
buddy.
You ready? Yeah, listen, buddy.
What? That's not even a name.
It
That
is
is
a name.
not
It is a name.
Char. What? Charmachella? Machela?
I'm gonna say this
La, la, la.
pronunciation, and you're gonna bust out laughing. Sure, Mike, you well.
No, no, no,
Dude, I swear, it's sure
no.
Mike you well.
No,
Swear.
no, you're
Swear on
lying.
my life, swear on everyone in my family's life, swear on my dog's life, dude.
You got a dog?
Well, yeah, I mean, she lives with my parents, but
Oh.
yeah.
See, okay, I've got people backing me up on this one.
Bro, come on.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, you out here trying to act like I just can't talk and I can't read, and you're out
I
here
mean, you
throwing
can't,
numbers
though.
in words like it's math or arithmetic. Okay, you can calm it down over there. Okay.
I'm actually very impressed that you used the word arithmetic.
Yeah. I mean, I had it.
No, I didn't.
I'm really good with numbers, Mac. Believe it or not.
Well, I would hope so. I would hope so, given your profession.
I'm a calculator, by the way. And
No, you use calculators.
no, I am a calculator.
You're not a calculator.
Okay, whatever. And I think that is a horrible way to end this episode, but I think it is, unless we got anything else.
Well, I just got a breaking news from Adam Schefter. So the Jets GM doubled down on Aaron Rodgers and said that Lamar Jackson is not an option. So, congratulations, Christian. You're no longer the stupidest person here. That is Jets GM Joe Douglas. So, I think that would be a wonderful way to end the podcast here, unless you got any other thoughts with how this team's going.
Breaking news.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
You go ahead.
Got some breaking. Well, I was just going to say, what do you like? What position? So the Browns' first pick is round 3,
Safety.
72.
Safety.
So you think
Jordan
they go safety?
Give me Jordan Battle now. I was high on him at 42. I think this dude can come in and play ball. He's a boy from Bama. You go watch his tape. He's ready to come in and contribute right off the rip. He's not one of these guys that you got to just slowly increment into the defense. Like, this dude is going to come out here and just bust heads. Like, he's going to be the Bobby Boucher of the safety room. Like, go watch him lay out kids. Like, just bah! And he's a dog.
I don't know. It's this edge class is awfully deep. If a guy like Mike Morris is still there, the kid out of Army is an absolute project, and he's going to need to put on weight. But I think he could slip, and if he's still there, why not take him? So I think they're going to have a lot of options. I do think that it's not going to be at 72, but I do think that they take a running back this draft. Now, you're high on Deuce Vaughn. I am as well.
Deuce,
but
we need Deuce in Cleveland. Listen, this guy is going to be the Darren Sproles of the Cleveland offense if we get him. He is so good. He can just shake people out of their shoes, man. It's just like he goes and he's gone.
I mean, like a knife through butter.
He's so he's shorter, but the dude, it's hard to tackle these guys that are littler. I'm sorry, it's just true. Like, I mean, even at Kentucky last year, I watched Wan'Dale Robinson. He was one of the hardest people to tackle because he was just so shifty and hard to actually get around. It's because he's so little, and I think the same thing with Deuce Vaughn. And I just want to say Deuce, and then say the jokes. Sick. We just took a deuce on your team. And I would love it.
I didn't. That didn't even. I mean, I'm one of the most childish guys I know, and that didn't even come across my brain here. But
probably because you were trying to pronounce names that you didn't even know how to pronounce.
Well, I just Googled them. I just read off the. Oh, here we go. Ravens president Sashi Brown. We love Lamar. We want to keep him here. Come on, stop it. Stop it. But I do think McIntosh out of Georgia, that running back, he's a solid pass catcher, and that's what the Browns still need. Don't be surprised if we've already been hearing things about Jerick McKinnon.
Yep.
And adding him to this offense.
If we get him, I'll run through a wall. If we can get him as running back too, I'm running. I don't know where, but I'll be running. Even if it's a short period of time.
They do. And now, granted, it's a very small role in this offense. It's not going to be, it's not going to be that stretch of 6 games, for Kareem Hunt in 2021. But there's still a need for that pass catching back because one of the things that aggravates me so much, but I won't let it get to me this season. I promise you. I will find ways to de-stress myself when this happens, but I know eventually there's going to be a time on offense where it's going to be third down, right? I'm going to look over at the sidelines and Nick Chubb is not going to be on the field. So there has to be someone right there that's going to be catching the balls out of the backfield. Now, is that going to be Jerome Ford? We don't know. We haven't seen him do that in college. We haven't seen him do it in the NFL. We don't know that he can do it.
Yeah.
So I think at some point, I think Demetric Felton, his time in Cleveland's gone, considering the fact that he's, allergic to catching the football with his hands. He'd rather do it with his chest. So I don't see him making this roster as a running back. So they got to find somebody for that role. And they gotta find somebody that's going to push Jerome because, and I think Andrew Berry finally realizes this as a GM, because I remember in the past they'd be kind of okay with a guy like Jerome Ford, because they would expect him to take the leap. But now it almost seems like, and I want to hear your take on this. Does it kind of seem like that Andrew Berry is now covering his ass more in terms of risk?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, when we hired AB, he was first time as a GM. There's going to be growing pains. When it's the first time in a position, you're going to see some growing pains. And we saw some. And I mean, like the way he drafted wide receivers, like we got Schwartz. He's not been very successful drafting D tackles. And I mean, he just hasn't really signed any either, other than like Malik McDowell prior or before the season. And, it's now, I think he's came to the realization like, okay, we can't just expect these dudes to make the jump. We got to get guys that are proven and guys that can actually come in and make a difference. And I think AB's really learned that over the course of the last 3 years.
Yeah. It's really, and like, granted, am I just kind of fooling myself into drinking the Kool-Aid once again for the umpteenth season in a row?
Well, it happens every year. We sign players. We get hyped because we think, okay, these guys are going to be amazing in our scheme, and then we just get let down. And I made a funny Facebook post the other day. I know I'm bringing up Facebook, but I thought it was funny. I said I want all the Browns players to line up on both sides of my casket when I die so they can let me down one last time.
I mean, I do really think that this is the year that they're going to make a run. Now, how far are they going to go in this run? I don't know.
Well, okay, but it kind of has the 2020 like off-season feel to me. Like we didn't get the big names. We got people that come in. But there was
a lot of turnover.
There was. And like, I mean, we did get a few big names that off-season. I kind of keep forgetting that. But like they weren't like huge flashy names. They weren't like a Tyreek Hill. They weren't like a Travis Kelce. Nothing like that prestigious. Like we got guys that can come in like a Dalvin Tomlinson. Like I can kind of compare that to the Jack Conklin signing and the Juwan Thornhill kind of to the Austin Hooper at the time. And they were good pieces that come in and just balled out. Like they came in, did their job, and weren't expected to like play as good as they did. And Browns would go to the second round of the playoffs. Nobody really thought we were going to the playoffs that year. They were like, okay, this team's gonna suck because you're coming off Freddie Kitchens year. Nothing went well. And I kind of feel like it's kind of the same thing because nobody's really talking about the Browns. Nobody is really talking about Deshaun Watson, and they're kind of sleeping on the Browns. And I love it. I want to go in.
Oh, I
Like
do.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
Browns fans talking that talk. I'm fine with us talking about Super Bowls, playoffs, and all that. But I don't want the national media talking about it. That was one thing I was kind of scared about with all the D Hop. Like, I mean, I know I tweeted,
Yeah.
get D Hop, get Brandon Cooks. But if we got D Hop, as soon as we agreed to that trade, the expectations for the Browns would have been Super Bowl or bust.
Oh, absolutely.
And getting a
And-
guy
and-
like
yeah.
Elijah Moore, it kind of lowers those expectations. I'm not dissing on Elijah Moore. I think he's
Mhm.
a great receiver. But when you get a guy of a star stature, kind of like a D-Hop,
Big name, yeah.
then that's when the expectations with the media, they're going to start pushing you because you've got that star player. They're going to have that impact, and that's why.
Well, the nice thing is that, compared to the past 2 seasons, the
Mhm.
Browns have to earn the respect of the
Back.
national media. They really do, because notice any national media ranking, any
Uh-huh.
way too early prediction, none of them are high on the Browns. And
Mhm.
honestly, I like that. I
Mhm.
really do, because at the end of the day, these additions are great, but Deshaun Watson still needs to step up his game. Kevin Stefanski still needs to add a couple wrinkles to this offense. The
Yeah.
defense has to get together. Schwartz has to lead 11 guys out there on defense and finally put together a competent group for the first time in years.
Yeah.
So like you said, they got to prove it.
Mhm.
And when it's just kind of building to like you said, those 2020 vibes, to where they got to put up or shut up.
Yep.
And I like the Browns' chances to put up here.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm excited because we're finally getting Deshaun Watson's second year technically in the offense. He got the rust off. He's played some games now. We got him some new receivers. Some proven guys, or not necessarily proven, but upgrades compared to where we were
Yes,
last year.
upgrades.
And I really think that this wide receiver core is going to push guys like David Bell and DPJ to take that next step. I told you this the other day on Xbox. I said I think Elijah Moore is going to be wide receiver too, because I think DPJ. I think all this is going to push DPJ to become a future wide receiver one, because I don't see Amari Cooper in a Browns uniform after his contract ends.
Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be very hard to pay a guy that late in his career. And they're kind of they want that to happen, because that's the best case scenario for the Browns.
Mhm.
Because if DPJ
Just hand off the
molds into
torch.
that wide receiver one, that'd be perfect.
Mhm.
And I think that he might be close to making that step. It's only time will tell, but
Yeah.
he's gotten better every single year. And the best part about this Browns roster
Mhm.
going into camp, there are very few open spots. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of competition, and with competition breeds excellence.
Yep.
And that's the note that I want to end on.
Well,
here.
and iron sharpens iron, man.
Exactly.
So, like you said, I think that was a great way to end the episode. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys want to re-listen to this, we're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts.
Facebook, we got a Facebook page,
Twitter, and Instagram, if you guys want to go follow that. And we do actually have some merch. We are actually looking to upgrade our merch right now. We're in the works on that. But yeah.
So go to our page if you're if for some weird reason you're dying for Down with the Browns merch, go buy it now before we switch stores here, because we're, like he said, we're trying to kind of find another outlet here. But yeah, feel free to follow us on everything. YouTube is going to be the big one, so feel free to subscribe away.
Tell your friends, your mother, tell your mother's friends. If you're Zach Wilson,
tell everybody, man.
Yeah,
and we're
get it tattooed
actively
on
doing giveaways here. So a good way to get put in for some free merch.
Yeah.
Just follow us. It doesn't cost you anything.
Doesn't
I
hurt.
mean, yeah, you got to probably put up with a couple videos of Christian screaming into the camera, ripping energy drinks. But you
Not
know,
anymore. I'm a new man.
we'll see about that.
I've not touched any caffeine today. Thank you very much. But yeah, like he said, subscribe, follow us. Hopefully you enjoy your listen. And have a great day, great night, whatever time of day it is you're listening to this. And go
Go
Browns. That was the wrong video.